outside? Should I run and hide? How do I take my company worldwide? Do you love the law? Did you watch Hee-Haw? What's the weirdest thing that you ever saw? What's it like in court? Favorite sport? Can you help with my book report? Is my hair too long? Am I right or wrong? And do you mind if I sing along to anything? Ask Alan anything in the world.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to this episode of Ask Alan the podcast. I've got with me today a great guest, Mr. Bradley Wilford, who is the COO, the Chief Operating Officer of RKA Construction, one of real prominent construction companies here in Memphis. You see their signs all over the place. Bradley, thank you so much for coming on the show.
Well, thank you for having me, Alan.
Bradley, first of all, are you a native Memphian?
I've lived here most of my life. I've lived here since 1979, so that's most of my life.
Where are you from originally?
I lived in Bristol as a young child.
Bristol, Connecticut?
Bristol, Tennessee.
Oh, Bristol, Tennessee. All right. I almost said Bristol, England, but it didn't sound. So you grew up, or at least you come from the land of the racing NASCARs.
Yeah, well, Appalachian mountain area, yes.
Okay. All right. So what brought you to Memphis?
We moved here when I was a child. We had family here when I was 7. We moved here and had a lot of family in this region, and grandparents, aunts, uncles, that sort of thing. And so we made our life in Memphis.
Well, very good. How does an Appalachian boy relocates to Memphis? How does he get into the construction business?
Well, interesting question. I always really enjoyed building stuff and working with my hands when I was really young. And I had the good fortune of, being able to experiment in the garage and have access to tools and things like that. And so, I think that's where I developed an interest in just, being able to explore that. And believe it or not, I started watching This Old House when I was a little kid, and I really liked fine home building and that kind of craftsmanship. And I decided when I was about 20 that I wanted to build a wooden canoe. And I started working on it, and I was a salesman at Outdoors Incorporated, and I had a customer that had a really nice home building company, residential remodeling, and I basically just begged him to take me as an employee, and because I was interested in woodworking, and my goal there was to become a trim carpenter for him, and I did, and had a great run with Turner Remodeling. I spent a little longer at University of Memphis because I was, working in construction, but I loved it. When I took I had about 5 or 6 years working in fine homes around Memphis, and that allowed me to go to college and really helped me in my college career too. And when I graduated from college, I applied for some jobs around town, and I got on with Oil Investment Company. And so, there I was handling property management and project management, primarily for retail. But my construction background served me very well in that project management role, because I was familiar with everything on the job site and had worked in the field. And so, I thought at the time I was, it was just really a great opportunity for me. And Boyle was very good to me for about 12 years. I was with Boyle Investment Company, and it was a great place to be. We developed several shopping centers around town and worked at remodeling a lot of shopping centers. And I worked there until about 2010. And then I was able to go to St. Francis Hospital for CBRE and worked with hospitals on some of their real estate problems. Whether it was construction or facilities or whatever. Most recently, I was involved for the past 5 years with the Crosstown concourse development and running operations there.
Well, that Crosstown is a monumental achievement for Memphis, and as someone who was involved in the construction, what are has it developed into the institution that you thought it would be?
Well, I think Crosstown is an example of something that is better than what we could have ever imagined. I started before any tenants had moved in. I worked very closely with Grinder Tabor Grinder, that was a general contractor. I was with Commercial Advisors, that was managing operations and facilities. But I am so happy to have been a part of Crosstown those 5 years. It was a great experience. It was fun. You're right. It has had a huge impact on Memphis. It was very positive to Memphis. In my wildest dreams, I'm just still stunned. And I worked on the project, but I'm still stunned at how it's been received. And when you're giving tours and people are coming from around the country to look at how it was done and how we did it, and all those that worked on it, it really it really makes you realize that that was a great project for Memphis. And so there were a lot of great Memphians involved in that project. So it was definitely a team effort, but I'm just glad to have been a part of it, for sure.
Tell us a little bit about RKA. Lots of different kind of construction companies out there. Get a little bit about its background and what does it do these days?
Well, it primarily a majority of our work is fine home building, remodeling, and our core values is that our first one is that we're craftsmen first, and so we do work on fine homes around town. We do some commercial work, we have a great process for doing that work. We are very detailed. I think we're really good at communicating with owners of property so that we're keeping them abreast of everything. We make them a part of the team, that we're as we're doing something, we really want their involvement, and we're in it together. And so we stress all that. And so I think that's one of the big differentiators with us, is that our process is really nailed down, and we really strive to make it a great project. We're really transparent with our process and our pricing, and all of that is where a customer can see all of that. So that's kind of, I think, what sets us apart.
From a business standpoint, seems that all sectors of the economy worried about two things: supply chain and employees. From your perspective, in the construction industry, how are those two challenges affecting your industry?
Well, they definitely have an impact. I'll address the labor one first. The labor one, what we do and what we're continuing to do to try to help with the labor situation. First off, we want to humanize the construction site. And so we genuinely care about every member of that's on a job site. And so I think that's evident that we care about their well-being. We care about their safety. We care about how they're treated. And so I think that helps us to keep people engaged in projects and make it where they want to work for us. And that's subcontractor rate arrangements, that's different trade partners. that we have. We want to treat them with respect and dignity, and they're a part of our team. And so that helps make a difference, I think. There is genuinely a skills gap, right now. It has been going on in our industry for a number of years, and that's really any trade, I think, has had a skills gap. I think there are a lot of good organizations that are trying to address that, and just finding people that want to learn. And so I think that is helping, that younger people are wanting to look at it. And there's a fair amount of younger people that are looking at, are looking at a trade maybe differently than they did 10 years ago. Some people are looking at it as, it used to be everybody wanted to go to college, but I think people are starting to take a second look at trades, because you take on a big debt when you go to college, what most people do anyway. And sometimes those jobs at the end are tough to find, and it may not be an environment you want to be in anyway. You might graduate with $60,000-$70,000 in student loan debt for an undergraduate degree, will that job really help you pay off your student debt? And so, whereas you can go to HVAC school and have a job while you're in school, which is another great thing. You can have a job in your field, as a matter of fact, and then when you get out, you've got a great job. So I think people are looking at trades differently now, which I think is needed. As a carpenter myself, I actually think of myself as a carpenter first, not as a graduate of the University of Memphis. I think of myself as a carpenter, and I'm proud of that. And I think the general consensus of that is changing for the better, in my opinion. So again, there's a lot of angles on the labor part. The supply part is a little different in that, we're still dealing with the lingering effects of manufacturing during COVID. We're dealing with transportation and logistics issues. And so those will continue. Cost has gone up, fuel cost has gone up. These are all impacting our materials. But we've already started to see some drops or some direction back down in lumber, not huge decreases, but I think that will correct itself. In the coming year, I think that'll will get better. There's still tremendous demand for things like glass and cabinets and doors and hardware and all that. So I think the market will correct the situation.
I'd be interested in your reaction to this as somebody who's in the business. But it just seems to me, driving around town, that Memphis is kind of going through a renaissance, if you will, of construction. Something that I really haven't seen in the 30 or 40 years that I've been an adult living in Memphis. I mean, there have been projects, but it just seems like everywhere you turn, not only is there new construction, but University of Memphis is building new buildings. LeBonner Hospital is building a new building. Just lots of construction in the private and public sector. Am I right? Is this unusual? And if so, what do you think is the cause of?
Well, I think maybe starting about 5 or 6 years ago, I think there has been some renewed interest in Memphis. And there is definitely a different attitude in the air. And I saw it with Crosstown in that I think people looked at that and thought, wow, this really is possible here. And it's possible for a development like that to be very successful. And, I think there's been enough demand on the multifamily sector to make people think about Memphis again projects that have been built, neat projects that have been built, plans for lots of great commercial projects in town. And if you look at it from like a land economic standpoint or a historical standpoint of the real estate world in Memphis, the city was developed on the river and moved east. And what you're seeing is, in a lot of ways, you're seeing that wave come back the same direction, right? So, Charlie does the development that's north of the pyramid. The pyramid gets redone. Crosstown opens, as we move through Midtown, North Papa project. We've got the Brooks Museum is moving back downtown, or moving to downtown, I should say. Great project. I understand in the paper the other day that we have some more interest in 100 North Main. So we have some potential there. So we're basically going back to remodel things that originally were part of our development history of Memphis. And so I think it's very exciting. I love to see these old buildings get restored. Having worked on starting my career in and around the Rhodes College campus when I was a carpenter, and then getting to work on Crosstown. So I love to see turn of the century buildings saved. So,
other than Crosstown, what's the coolest project you've worked on, large or small?
Well, when I was with Boyle, we developed Galena Central Shopping Center, and that was a fun shopping center to build in Collierville. Had a lot of fun working on one in Fort Worth, Texas, on behalf of Boyle. So that was a lot of fun. Those are two very memorable ones to me.
Very good. Well, what's RKA working on now?
We're working on we're working on our customers. So we're doing what they need us to do. So we take it very seriously, and we're working on continually refining our processes, and we're also trying to keep up with trends that are out there. Energy management and smart homes and these kind of things are increasingly becoming a part of our world, in trying to build sustainable homes and work on those next level things that people want to see.
That's a good segue. What do you think are the new trends in residential housing that might surprise people or that we ought to look out for?
Well, I think going out a little bit in the future, I think energy management control systems are going to play a vital role going forward, as we start thinking about energy efficient appliances and energy efficient heating and cooling. That wave is really just beginning in residential. It started in commercial, people taking it more and more seriously. And then, as you may know, Crosstown is a LEED certified platinum building, the largest one in the world. And so energy management was a huge part of that project. And so in the residential world, we're seeing that. We're seeing continued interest on the commercial side for energy efficiency, and that's not just necessarily LEED certified buildings, but just looking at it like, what is a responsible thing to do? And so we're having customers more concerned about how we're recycling things that come out of the home, and we make sure they get donated and things like that. And so there's just more conversation like that.
Sure. Well, Bradley, I appreciate your time. Been a fascinating conversation. Memphis is on the move, and RKA has a lot to do with that. And just tying a few elements together, if a young person is watching this and thinking about a trade, you're a good example of someone who has not just gotten a job, but built a very, a very prominent career starting with the trade. So congratulations. And thank you for all you do and all RKA does for our city.
Thank you for what you do, Alan. I appreciate you having me on.
Oh, it's my pleasure. All right, well, Bradley's going to go build Memphis, and I'm going to go get some justice. So
sounds good.
Thank you all for watching. If you enjoyed this program, please share it, email it, comment on social media about it. And for now, I'm Alan Crone, the CEO of the Crone Law Firm. Thank you all for watching.